Hi everyone, Dan from IT Partners here. I just want to talk about the latest Outlook vulnerability and show why we're working so hard to get it remediated and why it's such a big concern. Quick background on me before I get started. I'm a technical consultant with IT Partners and our local ethical hacker. Been on the team for nearly 10 years now as part of a 20-year IT career. So what I want to do today, just work through a quick demo showing you how this vulnerability works and how easy it is to exploit. The vulnerability is classified as a privilege escalation, so if it's exploited, it allows a hacker to gain access to a system with the same rights as the local user. So vulnerability is in the Outlook client itself, so it doesn't matter where your email's stored, Office 365, Gmail, anywhere. Scary thing with this one, no direct user interaction is required. You don't need to run a file or an attachment, anything like that. Outlook downloading the message is enough to trigger the vulnerability. So how it works, it sets a couple of mappy properties in a specially crafted meeting request that instruct Outlook to download a file from a remote server and try to play that file as a reminder instead of the usual Outlook reminder sound. And when Outlook connects to the file server, it'll pass the user's NTLM hashed passwords to authenticate to the file server, and then they all get captured on the hacking device. So for my demo today, I've got my hacking box set up, which will run a simple SMB file server, and I'll use that to capture their user hashes when the vulnerability triggers. I'll start that running in this top left window now just by executing this command and logging in, and that'll sort of sit there quite happily listening to what's going on. Client side, pretty standard install of Windows 10. I have an unpatched older version of Outlook running. And to trigger the vulnerability, I've got a Python script which will create the malicious meeting request that we need, email that out through Outlook, and then the vulnerability will trigger. So the script itself works in a similar way to manually creating an appointment in Outlook, except because it's a script, it can change some of the mappy properties that we need it to. The properties that are sort of important for the exploit are these ones here. So what this is going to do, it'll create an appointment for 30 minutes long using the subject and the body and the user email, and then it'll set a reminder. It'll override Outlook's default for that reminder, which will be to play a remote sound, not the local reminder file. It'll download that from this bad location, which is my hacking box here, and then it will actually instruct Outlook to play that sound. And it's the sound trying to play that actually triggers the vulnerability. Before I start the script though, I'll just pop back to my Kali box, just show you that I hasn't captured any hashes here. Okay, so back in the workstation, we will just get this to run in our terminal, go off to Outlook, and we should download our email, and we should wind up with an appointment in the calendar. Shouldn't have to wait too long. My script sets the appointment for sort of 6 minutes into the future, and then sets the remainder to play 5 minutes before the meeting. So we just sort of sit here quietly for a minute or two. Our reminder should pop up, and then we can go back to my hacking box, and we should see the user hash in the window. Okay, there's our reminder popping up. So if we go back to the hacking box, we can see that it's given us an incoming connection from our Windows host, and it's sent through our user hash. Okay, and Didn't have to do anything, no intervention on my part other than downloading the email. So what can a hacker do with this? This is the way that Windows stores user passwords, so it's hashed. But we can take that hash and we can push that out to a text file, and then we can use a brute forcing application like John the Ripper and a local password list just to brute force that password. In this particular instance, our user here doesn't have a very good password, but it's worth noting. Even if we couldn't brute force this password, we could still use this hash directly through some applications to do the step that I'm going to do next. We could use that to run a command line application that'll give us remote access to the system, but today we're just going to be noisy and we're just going to log in directly to the user's remote desktop session. Okay, so you can see there that we're on a remote session. If I flick back to the other machine, that should be locked now because my user's gone. And there we are. Really simple to exploit Outlook vulnerability, and a pretty good demonstration of how easy it is and why we need to get in front of it and get it fixed. Thanks for your time.